Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. So you'll see things look a little bit different this time. I have a background, a green screen, got the microphone hovering right here, and you know what? The reason is, I'm in LA. I'm at my girlfriend's place, and because I'm going to be moving in here sometime in the near future, even though I'm only staying here for about 3 weeks at this point, we figured might as well have a really good setup. So she set me up with a green screen with some box lighting, camera, very good computer, 980 Ti. Anyway, and just I'm figure I might as well use that to make Mondays with Mr. Happy a little bit better. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna have me here at the bottom. Doesn't ignore the part that's cut off right here. We have the background behind me, and then I'm actually going to put the question at the top of the screen. Now, normally, what I used to do is I used to take screenshots of every single question individually and put them at the bottom of the screen. That's how I did Mondays with Mr. Happy until about a little bit over a month ago. What I'm going to be doing with this setup is I'm going to simply window capture the question while I'm actually answering it, and that way the question will be there for the entirety of me answering it. Honestly, this is something that's experimental. Of course, feel free to leave me feedback. If the feedback is good, even when I go back to Jersey and I lose all this fancy equipment, I can still do something similar where at least I window capture the question onto the bottom of the screen. That way we can go back to having the things the way everybody liked it. And we all know that that's what we want. I want you guys to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy doing it. So anyway, let's get into the questions right away. We're also going to go back to editing. So we're going to be breaks in between this. So next question. Wait, no, this way. Next question. And by next question, I mean first question, but this is the setup that I'm talking about, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. So, first question. Hey, Happy, repost from week 55, veteran poster, sorta, so have a bonus of your choice. How would you suggest reinvigorating someone's interest in the game, aka how to get past the feeling that you're burning out? Got the game at launch, got everything to 50, 4-star crafter, not as good as gather, got these Zetas, been leveling everything, doing old world relics, collecting outfits. Now I have a static that just isn't meshing. 4 of the members don't really care about raiding, they're there for the story, mind you. We are starting Final Coil tonight. You're just doing Final Coil? You're doing it unsynced? Are you doing it unsynced or are you doing it synced? Either way, that's crazy. And let's see, 2 friends are in the free company. Lastly, a raid leader wants to raid just to raid. They like the story but prefer figuring out the fights. As such, they decided to send our group unsynced but blind, allowing for easier mistakes. Really? Your group is actually blind? They didn't, just look at it, when the raid leader said not to? That's interesting. Doing that, however, just was bland. Yeah, I don't blame you. This doesn't sound like it'd be fun if you were doing it synced, but unsynced? That doesn't sound fun at all. Especially if you're doing it to progress. Then you gotta do progression synced, man. I did turn 9 with 20% echo, sure, but it was still difficult. It took me almost 2 months to get through various groups, and it felt so great to clear it. I'm sure you know the feeling. That, though, doing it unsynced for 6 people's clears honestly killed most of my desire to play at all. Okay, so if this is all about reinvigorating your interest in the game, which, by the way, luckily another thing I can do with this setup is I can scroll through the question as I'm reading it. That's what I like about this setup. So what would you suggest to help keep me loving this deep, enriching story that is Final Fantasy 14? Not drop it like I did Star Wars at my 2-year mark. Thanks again and sorry for the rambling. Don't worry, as you can see, I condensed it for you. I don't blame you for not wanting to do this for clears for unsynced. This is, first of all, if you're going in unsynced and blind, that's such a strange combination of things. If you're gonna go in blind to learn a fight, you go in synced. That way the fight is still mostly a challenge and the mistakes don't just come from these odd mechanical issues. And honestly, if you're looking to raid, if a raid leader's looking to raid, they should be looking at Alexander, not at content that came out, well, almost a year ago at this point. So it's strange, and I don't blame you for feeling the way that you do, to be honest. I think that you may actually need a break, though. Whenever people say, I'm getting burnt out, the most obvious answer is the one they probably don't want to hear, and that's, you need a break. Even I take breaks. What I've started doing is streaming a different game for at least 2 hours out of my 5-hour stream. That way I don't get burnt out on Final Fantasy 14. Yes, even I get burnt out on Final Fantasy 14. The difference is I've accepted that that is going to happen by the nature of the design of the game. I still have things that I want to accomplish on a daily basis, but I also have a much busier life than I used to have. So raiding is one of the few things I save exclusive hours for in Final Fantasy 14. What I do, just check out other games, especially because now I'm talking to a lot more indie developers. I'm getting to try so many different games. Don't let these awesome games slip by. Dungeon Defenders 2, don't forget, we do have some free-to-play MMOs that you can put on your rotation. If you're just looking for another MMO to fill the gap in between patches, play Guild Wars 2, try some PvP or something. Just if you're burning out, don't force it, man. Come back in 3.1. You'll have a fresh perspective. Almost everyone I know that's left for a month has come back and said, that was the best thing I ever did for Final Fantasy XIV. Was take a step away from it, come back, remember everything I enjoyed about it, and then moved on from there. Hopefully that helped you answer your question. If not, sorry. But anyway, let's move on to the next question. All right, next question. Any tips on getting rid of anxiety of tanking? You must be really anxious. You didn't say hi. You didn't say anything. You're just like, please, I need help with this. I've been tanking in World of Warcraft for a long time. There haven't been much issues, but with 14, it's very different. It can be a bit stressful sometimes when you're roulette. You're going into a dungeon. It's always that DPS that does too much. Black Mage is a good example. And I can't keep up the enmity. I'm a Dark Knight, so AoE is only an issue when I don't have any mana left. There's a balance here. I need to spam AoE to keep enmity. I can't recover mana. It's weird switching to Dark, wondering what dungeon to do, then tell myself to level or do stuff with my main job instead when I enjoy tanking in 14. Anxiety, it really just comes with experience. It comes from overthinking the situation. Like, for example, you're talking about here worrying about how much enmity a DPS is generating. Don't even worry about that. If it's on a single target, do an extra Dark Arts Power Slash if you're not feeling comfortable. Compensate for yourself. Don't worry about them thinking, oh my god, he did 2 Power Slashes in a row, because you're just trying to make yourself feel comfortable. When it comes to AoEing, make sure you have Blood Price. Make sure you're not using cooldowns that are going to cost you MP in the end. Like, for example, don't Dark Arts, Dance, and then use Blood Price, because you're going to dodge half the attacks and lose the MP anyway. Remember that you don't need to AoE constantly. You can hit a few AoEs, do some single target rotations, do a few more AoEs. That way you can use your MP, get it back with Blood Price in your single target rotation, then do it again. Especially towards the end of a pull, when there's only like a couple enemies left and are at low health, get some of that MP back with your Dark Knight, man. It comes with experience, it comes with time. It can be pretty stressful. I understand that. It's just, don't overthink it so much. You know, just look at the situation from a calm perspective and don't worry so much about what other people might be thinking of you in a dungeon. Yes, there will be a set of vocal people that you may upset at some point just because of the anxiety, but you'll never get over it unless you tackle it head on, and that's what I think you need to do, my friend. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, long-time watcher, first-time asker, repost from week 55, enjoy the SO bonus. So I am the leader of a raid group on A2 Savage. I've been having issues with the group. We're having healer loot complaints. We established a rule beforehand that if you can need the piece, then you are allowed to need it. One of the healers feels it's unfair because they don't want the crit gear and wants to establish a loot rule where the Scholar gets crit gear and the White Mage gets non-crit gear. The Scholar just wants to stick with the current system, which I agree with. Tanks and melee have no issues on their shared gear. Is our loot system fair? Your loot system is basically as fair as it gets. If you can need on it, then you need on it. Now, the thing that I would say here is it is right of your White Mage to go, well, no, that's better for Scholar, let them have it. I'll roll on the next one if we get it. That way you have a situation where the job that needs it most is getting it first. That is correct. That is to deal with correct itemization. But to say, you know, there's nothing wrong with the White Mage wanting to give crit gear to the Scholar. It would be one thing if your White Mage had like I-190 hands and your Scholar already had like crit on their gloves or whatever. They had an I-210 gloves that maybe dropped the week before, and then I-210 gloves dropped again. You get a second set of healer gloves. Your healer, let's say, still doesn't have their esoterics gloves. So you look at them and you go, well, okay, that's a 210 upgrade for you. You should take it. Then if they say, no, it's not best in slot, that's not okay. Because you should be working to... There's two different types of itemization. There's best in slot itemization and there's progression itemization. They are indeed two different things. The way my ninjas itemize is garbage for the way that my best in slot list is, but it worked to get me the right accuracy caps to increase my damage on a week-to-week basis until we could beat A4 Savage. We're still working on that, but there are two different forms of progression in terms of gear that you need to think about. I think your system is fair. I think your White Mage is right for wanting to give the Scholar any healing crit gear that drops first, and then you'll worry about giving the White Mage anything that doesn't have crit. I think that's an okay thing for the two healers to want to do. All right, next question. Hi, Happy. Just passing another question your way because I know how much you love them. Aw. Two short questions here. Won't take long at all. Are you going to update your Astro guide if they get altered dramatically? That wasn't even a guide. That was literally just me going through their abilities, talking about potential strengths and weaknesses. I don't think I can qualify to make an Astro guide as much as I like the job. Until I've played with it in Savage, that doesn't really make sense. If anything, our White Mage, Kyo, he would be pretty well set making an Astro guide, but we still got to give him the chance to play it in Savage as well. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll make an update to it, just simply covering the new Astro and the way that it works with its new abilities, so that that old video doesn't make people think, oh, you know, that's what these abilities do? That sucks. That way they know it's like, no, no, no. There are new abilities. And also by now people have started filling in their I-200 ESO gear. Which armor do you like the look of most? I'm impartial to the looks. Some of them are nice to me. Like, for example, I like the Monk Gear Yang from Final Fantasy IV. I'm a fan of the Dark Knight set. I'm a fan of... I don't know. I'm really not I don't think about it too much, to be honest. It's gear. You know, if anything, I'm more looking forward to eventually being decked out in full Gordian, just for the glamour sense, so I can look like a really cool ninja. I'm also looking more towards the PvP gear. PvP gear, please. I need it. I really need to be PvPing more. I have so much work to do on my other character, though, that PvP's just gotta wait. So, I'm indifferent. You know, I don't think the ninja one looks that great either. But, yeah, I'll go with Monk. Monk and Dark Knight are the two ones that I like the most. As you can see, this question's very urgent. Oh my god, Mr. Happy. Repost from week 55. Who told Dark Knights that turning off Darkseid was the efficient way to tank, and why? I'm seeing a lot of it. I've asked, and basically the argument is that they can spam AoEs more. I say, yeah, and you need to because you're doing crap damage and generating crap enmity. If you were a Black Mage, would you just spam Blizzard 2 because you can't be bothered to manage MP cost returns with Astral Fire? If you were a Dragoon, would you spam unbuffed Ring of Thorns instead of Doomspike because you can't be bothered to manage TP? They would just turn on Darkseid, tank like a man, and pull as much as they can, pop their cooldowns right, pop Blood Price, spam Abyssal Drain along with Unleash for more damage, and everything would be dead before they need to worry about MP. Not to mention that turning off Darkseid turns off Dark Arts, goodbye 400 Soul Eaters, 450 Carves, Dark Passenger, you're only off GCD AoE, Dark Mind, and Dark... Well, that's not true, because laying down the Salted Earth is also an off GCD AoE. It's a placed AoE, but still. Dark Mind, Dark Dance, which further gives your ability to try and force proc Reprisals and Reprisal. See, one of my tanks called it Reprisal, and I can't stop saying it now because I hear him say it over and over again. Reprisal and Low Blows, which in turn gives raid mitigation extra off GCD. So essentially, they're saying they would rather hit the off switch on half the job and play it like crap because they literally cannot manage losing a whopping 127 MP. Yes, that's the number every 3 seconds. Why? Let me scroll down to the end of the question, as you can see right here. I don't know. Pretty much the only time I turn off Darkseid when I'm tanking is right before the end of a pull. Like, for example, like, let's say I have like 1,000 MP, and there's one mob left with 50% of its HP, because, you know, maybe everyone wasn't AoE, maybe it was just three targets, they all died one at a time, whatever. Or like, let's say it's a bunch of mobs, but they all only have like 15% HP left. They're gonna die in 1 or 2 AoE spells. I'll turn it off and start getting MP back for the next pull, but to literally leave it off on trash should be a non-option. That's you bypassing the, like you said, that's somebody bypassing the learning aspect of the job. Being able to spam more AoEs, yeah, but you're losing 15% damage on every single one of them. On every single thing, on every auto attack, on every off GCD you use, on every AoE that you just use, when realistically you only need 2 or 3 AoEs, a single target rotation AoE, single target rotation AoE, and you should be fine. There shouldn't really be too many MP issues, especially with Blood Price. So, I don't know why Dark Knights are doing that. I don't know where they got the impression. It's probably just being a little bit intimidated by the job and trying to ease it on themselves while they level up. If you're somebody doing that, I don't recommend it. I recommend you learn it, because guess what? That is the job. If it's not a part of the job you like, then the job just may not be for you, unfortunately. So, turn on your dark sides. Turn it off in between pulls, though. Like, between trash pulls, I can understand turning it off just to get MP back, but leave it on for the entirety of boss fights. If you don't manage your MP right and you need to turn it back on after it falls off, do that. Just don't leave it off. You know what I'm saying? Alright, next question. Repost from week 55. Hello, Mr. Happy. Got a question for you. No bonus, but nostalgia's sake. Take my replica Yoshimitsu blades. I got those already. My question is, I main ninja like you, and I've been trying to progress in Savage, past Faust, yay! But what's bugging me is that I always hit about 1120 to 1150 DPS. I'm I-193, and I know I can do better. I've done about that amount at a lower item level, but I do have latency with my Mudgers. It makes them slower when casting them in normal. Could that be why my DPS stays around the 1100 range and isn't hindering me? So if so, should I just stick with Fuma, which I do sometimes, but in my opener, which is basically identical to yours, I like to cast Raiton after Kasatsu. Please answer as best you can. It's not a long question, man. It's a short question considering. You're basically just asking if Mudger lag hurts your DPS. The answer is yes. Pretty much the rule is, if there's no foes, then you don't use Raiton. If you're lagging so bad you can't get Raiton in your opener, as well as a Duality at Aeolian Edge, then it gets a little bit rougher. You have to consider foes. Foes is the one big thing you have to consider. Is there, go for the Raiton unless it's so unbearably long that you're like, boo, 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 and that's the end of your Raiton. That's like 1-2 Raiton. Otherwise, Fuma's fine. You just have to make sure that if the slashing debuff has to be up. If the slashing debuff isn't up when you're Fumaing, that's no better. So if it's really that bad, honestly, I don't think you're doing that bad. for 193. I'm assuming you have an I-200 weapon, which means, yes, you could definitely be doing a lot more. And I don't know if this is the only reason why you're stuck in that DPS range. I can't tell. I don't know if this is in-raid DPS. I don't know if it's dummy DPS. I don't know if you guys are doing a strange strategy, what your uptime is on the boss. Are you maintaining Huton correctly? Are you maintaining it too well? Maybe you're doing too many armor crushes. Are you the one responsible for Dancing Edge? Are you keeping your dots up? Are you lining up your cooldowns with dots and other abilities? You know, all of those things come into factor. I'd say you're at a pretty good base. You know, you're doing better than a lot of other people would, even at that item level. So be happy with that, and just work on improving those little things that I just mentioned, and working on whether or not you need to use Raiton or Fuma. Just remember the advice I gave you earlier. This one had a lot of bold print, so I decided to go with it. Reposting from weeks 54 and 55 because I'm determined to get your feedback. I'm willing to give you my weekly esoterics if it comes to it. We have my main geared outside of a weapon, so it's no biggie. Apologize for the length, and I tried to slim it down, but to keep everything on, it was clear I was unable to do that. So take 100 SOs Law, 250 Centurios, a Manifesto page 2. I need page 3. No, I don't actually. I need page 2. And Sad Puppy Eyes to help convince you to answer this question. So if you make a separate video for it, I'll gladly pay you for the time. Don't pay me for the time, man. Come on. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not gonna charge you for me to make you a video. That's it. That being said, making a video unless it's on one like really good topic is probably not gonna happen. Let's see here. Holy moly! No wonder this question didn't get answered on weeks 54 and 55. I'm gonna have to condense this down a little bit. Having seen Astro pulled from Bravely second, I glossed over the attack mages. An hour after staring intensely at my screen, I found something that would believe worked. A unique twist on the job. Holy moly! It doesn't help that it's it's not really formatted. Oh my goodness. I just personal LB. Okay, so first of all, personal LB gauges. I don't like that. Outside of PvP, I don't like the idea at all. Mainly because it's pretty much just another cooldown. Like, there's nothing to gain from that. It might as well just give everyone another, like, 5-minute cooldown that they can use. That's my personal feeling about personal LB gauges outside of Slaughter. So this gauge being used for one giant attack, used similar to a manner of Wrath axe where you fill the bar, but instead of having it be an all-in-one like Wrath, it would have abilities that consume specific amounts of the gauge. See, now, okay, this actually sounds okay for, I guess if you're just talking about just for Astros, this doesn't sound bad at all. The thing is, it just sounds like energy. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like the limit break gauge you're comparing it to is energy from World of Warcraft, where it increases rapidly and it decreases rapidly. So that could make sense. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of stuff here. there's a lot of stuff. I don't even know how to like sit here and read all this. The Kitsune. Okay. Oh, so this isn't even about Astrologian. This is about the Kitsune. Well, okay, if you want to make a job. See, okay, so the baseline idea is the ability to consume a limit break gauge, like a personal LB gauge. This, like I said, seems very akin to energy, which, you know, comes back fast and depreciates fast. So I'm okay with that. I want an energy-based job or something that has a resource that isn't just TP and MP. And I know I don't care about the whole Wrath stacks or Aether Flow stacks. Like a different thing to consume the TP gauge or the MP gauge on the bottom of the screen. I am perfectly okay with that. And as for the things you have here, like the basic spells and what abilities they have, they have the dots. They have spells that can be turned on and off. The next spell will be based off the snake, which innately be a moderate spell. Become more powerful. Like, the thing is, these are all ideas as long as they fit within the way the game works. As long as it's something that is balanced, it doesn't completely break the game. Anything's possible. That's what's good about Final Fantasy XIV. Any fantasy is possible to achieve. It's just a matter of making sure that it doesn't break the game. So, as hard as it is for me to read through all of this, the energy idea I'm always welcome to. As for any other idea, sure. There's nothing that can't be done in this game. Hell, they're already talking about Red Mage, Blue Mage, Samurai. And when I say they, I mean the big guys. The guys that are in charge of everything. You know, they're talking about it. They want to make it happen. So, who knows? Maybe something like this will make it into one of those jobs, just as its interpretation in Final Fantasy XIV. As for exact feedback, I don't think I can give that. Even if I wanted to make a separate video altogether on this, we have ideas like this all the time. You know, I have ideas about ways that jobs could be implemented and certain abilities could be implemented all the time. It's just not a simple thing to just give feedback on. It's not a simple thing to comment on either, because so many people come to me with ideas like this. So apologies if that's not the answer that you were looking for, but I just won't say it's a great idea, and I won't say it's a bad idea. I'll say it's just an idea. And that's actually what fuels the gaming development world, ideas. So it's good that you at least have them. It shows forward thinking, and who knows, maybe one day you'll get something that plays exactly like you have described here. Now we're going to do a bunch of quick questions. So, repost from week 55. Sup, Mr. Happy? Question for week 56. I main Bard and I will not do Savage. It made me think. I have an I-184 Ninja with some Alex gear and leveling Machinist. Should I buy the Esoterics Dex accessories to just focus on buying all the Esoterics gear for Bard? That's up to you, man. If you want to get the right side stuff just for the sake of having it shared across the jobs, go right ahead. In patch 3.1, I'm sure some more left side gear will become available for all 3 of these jobs. And on top of that, Esoterics will eventually be uncapped, so it won't even matter. And if you're not doing Savage, you do whatever you want. That's the bottom line. If you don't have to worry about gearing in a certain order in order to make progression easier, you have complete freedom, my friend. So enjoy it. Enjoy your complete freedom. All right, next question. Hey, Happy Man, you're awesome. Thanks. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy. Okay. Since we weren't able to get to my question last week, here's an SO bonus for the first time asker. This question is pure vanity, but sometimes it just bugs me. So basically, when we die, we all fall and lay on the ground in the same way. Dead, obviously. So my question is, do you think we'll ever get a way so that each race or even gender, and if the development is too much, could crumble to the ground and lay differently? They do lay differently a little bit. Yeah, they all fall and lay to the ground, but it's not the exact same thing. It's generally the same, but it changes based on their height. I think asking them for different death animations isn't too far-fetched. I think that's actually a fair thing to ask for. As for the other question, do you think we'll ever see 6-digit HP values? If we do, it'll be 4.0. 4.0 exactly, I am predicting a 6-digit HP value if they don't do anything to counteract HP values increasing. That's the only way I see that happening. Alright, next question. Salutations, Mr. Happy. Not so long time viewer, but I've made up for that in binge watching, but it's my first time asking, so that's a bonus for you. I have 2 questions. One of them should be a quick answer, though. On your day 1 PAX blog, you mentioned a mobile D&D style game. I was wondering if you knew the name of it, so I've been looking for a digital tabletop RPG experience for quite some time now. The thing is, the guy didn't have a business card. I gave him mine. So until he contacts me, I actually don't remember. I actually went and looked through my business cards not too long ago looking for that exact game. So I will let you know as soon as that guy contacts me, because that game looked phenomenal. It had really good customization, and the fact that it was you could use it on multiple platforms and it was account bound, being able to be at work and bored or something, like maybe even just during lunch, and start working on the dungeons and the story for your game later that night, and then to just pull it up on the PC and play with people across the United States or across the world even. Perfect. Great. So many people don't get that opportunity, and I think it's a game that's going to do very well. I, however, do not remember the name. So when I find it, I'll be sure to let you know. As for the other question, I am currently maining White Mage, and I've definitely seen improvements in my abilities over the course of the last 6 months. Good. I'm still considering myself to be more of a casual player, but I like to push myself into hardcore territories of the game. My current life schedule makes being a reliable member static a little rough, and I have little to no luck finding Alexander Savage groups on my party finder. Question is, someone who wants to go into Savage, but at this moment is working on a schedule, makes it rough. How can I go about preparing myself with the time I do have? Particularly when it comes to DPSing and healing in fights, as I see that as my weakest point. That's honestly the biggest problem. I wouldn't even say it's a problem. It's just something that until you get in there, it's hard to learn. The best thing you can do is go into like Ravana's or Bismarck's or go into 4-man dungeons or even Alexander Normal and just analyze yourself. Like, okay, I actually want you to do the opposite. Look at a fight. Do a single fight without DPSing at all. And look at all the points in the fight where you are doing nothing for a period of time, or where you could have done nothing for a period of time and just did something just for the sake of like, I'm bored. Add all that time together, that's all time you could have been DPSing. Now granted, that's not going to qualify. You literally have to learn how to DPS and heal on a per fight basis, because you need to learn exactly how many heals you need at every fight in every situation. So with that in mind, that's the only way I can think for you to work on it. As for your Savage situation, just keep playing, just keep practicing. That's all you can really do for now, unless you can find a static that's maybe willing to just raid with you maybe 2-3 hours a night. There are statics out there that allow it, and you just may have to look on other servers, which I know is a pretty daunting thing to do. It just might be the only solution for you. Keep me updated. I'd like to know how you make out with this situation. Alright, next question. Repost from week 55. Yo, Haps, I've asked the question before, but it's the first time doing it on the Dream Forum, so I guess that at least takes a law bonus. Your call. My question is about your thoughts on the Astrologian buffs from patch 3.07. Though I agree the changes were necessary for bringing Astrologian up to par, I'm quite disappointed in the direction Square Enix took with mostly giving straight buffs to its healing potencies without distinguishing how the job plays from Scholar or White Mage. It was what the job needed, but not what it deserved. Overall, I think Astrologian's class design is a complete mess because they are designed as being either a White Mage or a Scholar instead of their own unique take on healing. There is still a real disconnect between their card abilities and healing playstyle. Each has no effect on the other in any meaningful way. Homogenization has made me lose faith in some of Square Enix's job design going forward. Do you see this as a problem by being too critical? I think you're being fairly critical. But when I say fairly, I mean you're being fair with how you're critical. Homogenization is a serious concern a lot of people have because they want every job to have its use. They want every job to fit into a raid scenario and you go, okay, I can do this. We can bring this as long as we bring this. Have things trade outable. One thing I will say is calling them either a White Mage or a Scholar is something I've leaned away from. I like to say they either do burst healing or they do protective healing in the form of the shields. Because they are not either a White Mage or a Scholar. You do not decide, hey, am I going to use a pet or am I going to not use a pet? To me, it's not just the shields that define a Scholar. It really is that pet. That infinite MP, very reliable, sometimes annoying to use pet, whereas White Mage, I think of things like Benediction, I think of things like Cure 3, and I don't see a lot of those tools on the Astrologian. Yes, it has your basic Medica equivalent, it has your basic Succor and or Medica 2 equivalent, it has your basic Cure 1 and Cure 2 equivalent, it has your basic either Eloquium or Regen with a front-loaded Cure kind of deal. And then really, that's where the similarities end. They did give it a Divine Seal equivalent, but it's a Divine Seal equivalent attached to a completely unique mechanic in that of Sinistry that no other job has. Lightspeed, completely unique mechanic that no other job has. The cards, a complete mechanic no other job has. The shield, well, yes, it does integrate both Asylum and Sacred Soil. It has a different effect. You know, it has both of the effects, and it has a regen, extremely potent, that stays on everyone. They can extend buff durations, which allows them to extend their HOTS on their healing skills, allows them to extend the effectiveness, or extend the effects they give from their cards. It allows them to extend the effects of even that shield, that regen from the bubble. So they have some pretty good uses in their kit, some very unique things. I do feel that the main problem wasn't just their healing potencies though. While that does make things a little easier on them now, it masks some of the issues with the randomness of the card system, which can cause them to lose reliability and make them less desirable for groups looking for a hardcore progression. Is it fine to play in your standard progression group? Absolutely. Is it great? Is it perfect? No. I feel like they could have designed the job a little bit more in depth. They don't have the best DPS, although they do have two dots that can't miss. Other than that, I'm not very impressed with other aspects of the job. I will say, though, it is my favorite healer to play. White Mage has always been my least, but for no real reason, just because I do actually really like the White Mage. And Scholar I've always enjoyed as well, but level 60 Astro has just taken it to a whole nother level for me, and I am really, really enjoying that job. So I recommend you just give it some time. Even though it does have some of the basic tools every other job has, it also does have some things that make it incredibly unique in its playstyles, even if they are a bit disjointed. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy. A happy greetings from Ultros. And this week, I got two questions. They're both incredibly short and simple and can possibly tie into one another. If you could have any minion implemented into the game, what would it be? Wind Up Diablos. I don't know why. I really want a Diablos minion. I just do. First, to be a huge fan of Porogo minion. Matoya minion would also be really good. You reminded me from around Matoya's cave. They're already technically former minions, so I think that'll work out quite well. Second, if you could have any minion from the game to own in real life, as unrealistic as it may be, what would be your choice? The Heavy Hatchling or the Fat Cat? I know those two both seem really, really odd, but as long as it wouldn't die, I would like to have a Fat Cat. You know how just lay your head against a soft fat cat. Let's do it. Oh, it's so comfortable. Next question. What's up, Mr. Hap? Hop a hap to the hap hop, and you don't stop a rock to the bang boogie. Hopefully you know of Rapper's Delight by Sugar Hill Gang. If not, hopefully it didn't make you skip my question. You're lucky it didn't. Anyway. I really love the design for the new Monk PvP weapons, but I've never been into PvP in any MMO I've played. I know I'd have to reach rank 50 in PvP to even glamour the weapon, but I don't want to get too involved since my free company and friends aren't really that interested in PvP. How hard is it at 50 alone, and can I do it without devoting a lot of my playtime to PvP? Oh, you're going to have to devote a fuck ton of playtime, and excuse the language, but a metric fuck ton of playtime It's really long, okay? It's a long grind to max rank in PvP. I will not bullshit you. You're gonna be doing it for a long time. Alright, next question. Yeah, Mr. Happy, first time poster. I noticed lately you seem to have a dislike towards the Bard as a job. You mentioned in some QAs that you don't like to make decisions for other people, yet still when asked between Bard or Black Mage, without pause you mentioned Black Mage. You seem to heavily favor Machinist over Bard and kind of shun Bard overall. A little bit. I've played Bard since the game back in 2.0. I've main Bard ever since. No other class can even compare to it in my eyes. I love it without Minuet, I love it with Minuet. But the giant desertion of Bard as a class when Heavensward was released, on top of with most people moaning and complaining all the time that Bard is just a Black Mage with lower damage, it's not fun. I want to get tips and tricks from other fellow Bard players, but those rank at just a handful now. Most of those who play don't even like it, and only do it for their raids. And overall, it almost feels like a dying class. Even in the party finders, there's 6+ groups a day looking for Bard machines for the static, because no one's doing it. My question is, why do you look down on Bard? Or if you don't, why does it just come off that way? It comes off that way because it's hard for me to recommend a job that just... Okay, so here's the thing. People always ask me what job does the most damage, right? And Bard and Machinist are never on my radar for that. I tell them, yes, those jobs can do good damage. It's not like they're so shit that nobody plays them. And on top of that, they have great utility. But when people ask me, I want something that feels fun and feels exciting. Something that is awesome to play, big numbers. It's hard for me to suggest to them Bard. Yes, Sidewinder or a barraged, fully buffed Imperial Arrow, those things are great. But unfortunately, as much as I actually like this iteration of Bard better than the previous one, I think it's more that I just like Machinist better. I like Machinist better now that Quick Reload is on such a short cooldown, and also just that the job, while it has a lot of things that are very similar, has the utilities that I just value so much more. I mean, the physical version of foes I prefer, just because most groups maybe have one caster DPS and a healer that's DPSing, so on top of that, the fact that Machinist... you pretty much are forced into it because you're not going to just summon the AoE turret just to do the just to do the magic debuff. They have the utility, they have Rent Mine, and they have Dismantle. They have Wildfire, which is so satisfying to use. They have a stun, they have a slow. Actually, I don't think they have a slow. They have a stun though. That's a big thing. And they just have so much utility. And like Paeon's good, and Ballad is good, and Foes is good, and Blunt Arrow is good, and a Bard's damage is overall good. I just like the design of other jobs better. It's not so much that I don't like Bard, it's I just like the other jobs more than Bard, if that's a fair answer to give you. Next question. Hey Haps, first time poster, so take this A4 Savage Nin weapon. Best in slot. So my question is, my static composition is Dark Knight Warrior, White Mage Astro, Ninja Dragoon, Monk, that's you, and Bard. Wait a minute. Uh-oh. Only one range and 3 melees. I see where the question is. And I could switch to my summoner, but my monk gear is 194 and my summoner is just I-182 with a Bismarck book. Should I ask our raid leader to let me switch to summoner? It sucks that you as the monk are the only person who could change summoner, because monk has pretty good AoE DPS when it comes to A2 Savage. You really don't want triple melee. I know it seems like it's not a bad idea, but you really don't want triple melee. I hate to have you as the monk have to change, especially for A2 Savage, where monk is really good. But yeah, you're probably gonna have to learn and go summoner. I don't know if there's another way. Unless somebody else can change. Yeah, you're probably stuck going summoner, man. Sorry. Alright everyone, I'm going to answer 3 more questions, edit this together, and we're going to call it a wrap for this episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. Sorry if I missed your question, and thank you everyone who did ask questions for this week's episode. Be sure to ask your questions for next week as well. I'll be saying that at the end of these next 3 questions as well. Without further ado, repost from week 55. Hey Mr. Happy, hope you enjoyed your mini vacation and arrived home safely. Excuse me, I need advice on how to defeat the optional boss Bahamut. I'm 5-manning it using a Paladin, Summoner, Dragoon, Ninja, and White Mage. We can't seem to do enough damage before he enrages. It is extremely frustrating, especially as all 5 try to maximize DPS. What level do you think I should be at in order to be successful? Also, should I take the Lunar Whale back to Earth and acquire the Odin Summon for my Summoner in order to increase her Wait, is this a Final Fantasy IV question? I thought this was a Turn 13 question. I was like, wait a minute. Paladin, Summoner, I was like, what? That's so confusing. This is a Final Fantasy IV question. This is that's okay, man. Don't worry. Don't feel bad about asking me a Final Fantasy IV question. Dude, honestly, I didn't even have to try to beat Bahamut when I played Final Fantasy IV. I guess it depends on if you're playing the re-release, like the 3D version on Steam, or if you're playing the OG Final Fantasy IV, where he's a fucking pain in the ass. The one thing I can recommend, Dragoon jumping when he does Mega Flare, whatever it's called in that version. Make sure you have defense up. I don't even remember what I had. Wait a minute. You don't even get to pick jobs in Final Fantasy IV. I am so confused right now. You have no idea. Okay, let's assume you're talking about Final Fantasy XIV. Because... No, this is a troll question. This is a fucking troll question. This is a troll question. If you're talking about Final Fantasy IV, you are talking about Final Fantasy IV because that's the fucking party layout. You were seeing if I would fucking figure this out. You were... Good troll. Good troll. It's easy. You can win with those 5 people in 14 as well. We're moving on. Alright, next question. Dear Mr. Happy 1227. It said, dear, very, very formal, very polite. A couple of weeks ago, I asked a question about how statics were refusing to accept monks into their statics. Now that monks have been buffed combined with their more esoteric gear, they are now being accepted into statics again. However, there have now been ninjas and dragoons on the Square Enix forums complaining, of course there are, about how monks don't need a buff. Why are their jobs being ignored? Because of the buffs, monks have now overtaken dragoons according to the Alexander Savage DPS leaderboards, and this is true, as top single target and top AoE. This is also true. Some even feel threatened that monks may start usurping their raid spots. Do their complaints have any validation? All this is a knee jerk. The sky is falling. It's a sky is falling reaction. First of all, let's be clear. Monk does do more single target DPS than the other 2 melee jobs. They were very close to dragoons before, especially once people got their weapons and learned how to do the rotation a little bit better before. Let's be clear, though, that a Dragoon's raid DPS contribution makes them eventually outweigh a Monk in terms of usefulness, especially if you're running something along the lines of a Dark Knight Warrior tanking composition. If anything, ninjas may be a little warranted. Ninjas have massive raid DPS contribution in the form of Goad, in the form of Smokescreen, Shadewalker, and Trick Attack. I consider all of those raid DPS increases because most of the time you're using Shadewalker and Smokescreen to allow your tank to tank in a DPS stance, or your healer to not pull aggro while that's happening. Also, just as a safety net for your healer during burst healing intensive phases when adds are spawning. And then of course Trick Attack is obvious, Goad is obvious, why those are raid DPS increases. So I think if anything, ninjas may feel a little threatened, but because of their utility, it's almost like saying, haha, we want to raid without a bard. People go, haha, no you don't. It's pretty much the same thing with ninja right now. So Dragoon and Monk, a little bit more exchangeable. Hell, even Dragoon and Monk as a combination is still pretty good. It's just, if anything, ninjas, they're not doing bad. Let's just say that. They're not doing terribly. They may need a slight buff, but not much. Like, literally not much at all. Like, they don't need fucking... They just don't need a lot. Like, just maybe something small. And I don't even think that's really necessary just with all the utility they have. It's a sky is falling reaction. It's not as bad as they think. It's not like you're going to be in the middle of a static and you're going to be like, hey, I'm having so much fun with these people I play. Like, by the way, fuck you, Monk is better now. Get out. What? We were having fun. No, fuck you, Monk is better now. That's not going to happen. And if it happens, that group is an asshole. So what are you going to do? Alright, and this is going to be the last question for this week. So, let's just get right into it. Hi, Mr. Happy. Sorry about the lame poem in 1.0 question last week. Don't worry. Promise no more of those. As an apology, take all of these fish my retainer keeps bringing me. Do I look like a dumping ground? Anyway, my question this week involves spoilers for the Heavensward main scenario, so you know the drill. Also, as a suggestion for spoiler-related questions, how about adding an annotation that lets viewers skip to the next non-spoiler question? Not a bad idea, but this is the last question, so they would just be skipping to the end of the video. So, let's just say that you can skip to the end of the video after this. So, I see a giant thumbs up in case I forget. So, in case you don't see it before, I click the question right here. There you go. See? In case I forget. That's the smartest thing I've seen someone do. So, spoiler. It has to do with the main scenario. It has to do with the main scenario, so if you haven't finished it, then just wait for me to do this. I won't forget. If I forget now, then I'll never remember. So when I do this, it means that the spoilers are over. So you can unmute the video. So, spoiler for Haydn. Is that an error on our website? That has to be. Spoiler for Haydn instead of hidden. Alright, show. After we rescue Y'shtola from... I see where this question is going. It seems that she didn't escape unscathed. Based on how her eyes are clouded over in the dialogue between her and Matoya, I'm left wondering, could it be that Y'shtola is blind now? It appears that she may have lost her sense of sight and now uses surrounding ether as a substitute for vision, but she hasn't explicitly stated this. She has kind of explicitly stated that because Matoya specifically says how that is life-threatening and that basically every minute she's using that ability to see, her life is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. What I suspect is going to happen, because God forbid we have a scion of the seventh dawn die permanently, Rip Moon Brita. Matoya is probably going to give her life to cure Y'shtola. If I had to guess, it's probably not going to happen for a couple of patches still, but yeah, Y'shtola is dying. slowly, using the ether around her as a substitute for vision. So that is a real thing. So you're not crazy for thinking that, and it is not. I wouldn't say yes, it isn't explicitly stated, but it's basically said to some degree. So yeah, there we go. Thumbs up to say that the spoilers are done. And that's going to be it for this week's episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. Thank you, everyone, for asking your questions as per usual. Don't forget, you can ask your questions by going to the Dream Network forums in the description of the video and asking your questions there. Also, remember, I want feedback for this layout here. So there you go. Oh, no, see, that's the wrong one. Now I messed up the video. Now we're going to start over. I'm not going to do that. Anyway, thank you for watching this week. I will see you all next week. And until then, take care.